And welcome back to Hannity. So one of President-elect Donald Trump's campaign promises was to drain the swamp in Washington. So earlier this week, former 2016 presidential candidate Texas Senator Ted Cruz, he introduced an amendment that would implement term limits for lawmakers on Capitol Hill. In a statement, Ted Cruz said, quote, D.C. is broken. The American people resoundingly agreed on Election Day, and President-elect Trump has committed to putting government back to work for the American people. It's well past time to put an end to the cronyism and deceit that has transformed Washington into a graveyard of good intentions. What a powerful statement. Joining us now to explain is the man himself, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, always good to see you. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Sean. Great to be with you. Happy New Year. Happy
New Year to you. You know, I've always said about term limits, it's a good idea. It's a bad idea whose time has come. It really would, I think, put politicians on track to do not what is in their best interest, but to serve the people, which has not been happening in recent years. And I think you would agree, Republican, Democrat, it's gotten pretty bad.
No, Sean, that's exactly right. I mean, the American people overwhelmingly support term limits, and that's on a bipartisan basis. And the reason is simple. They recognize Washington is broken, that it's far too easy for people to come to Washington and become career politicians and get corrupted by the system, where the special interests, the lobbyists, begin supporting them. They stay there forever. You know, when the framers designed the Constitution, they envisioned citizen legislators who would leave their job for a period of time, leave their businesses, their farms, come to Washington, serve the nation, and then go back. And we don't have that arrangement today. And so it is my hope that one of the first things we'll see Republican majorities in both houses do is take up a constitutional amendment providing term limits, 2 terms for senators, 3 terms for members of the House, and President-elect Trump campaigned on that. It's one of the most effective ways to end the corruption in Washington and to drain the swamp.
Yeah, you know, you were one of just a few people that was willing to use your constitutional authority, the power of the purse, as it relates to Obamacare. It's now an item 1 agenda for the Trump administration. And you actually said yesterday that I'm really impressed with President-elect Trump. And I know, by the way, politics is a blood sport. It was very contentious with you guys at certain points. But you did keep your promise. You came around. You supported him. And probably you, more than any other candidate, had the most contentious, you know, exchanges with him. Others didn't. That's an important aspect to remember. But do you feel that he can get these things done where the Republicans were not willing to fight in the past?
Well, listen, I certainly hope so. I mean, you're right, it was a vigorous primary, but Donald Trump won the primary, and I'm very glad to say he won the general election. And I was happy to campaign supporting Donald Trump and Mike Pence.
You were in Wisconsin, you were in Michigan with Mike Pence, right?
Yeah. I mean, went on the road with them, did everything we could to turn out conservatives, and that's what we saw. What we saw on Election Day was an incredible mandate for change. It was the American people saying enough is enough. They're fed up. And Sean, I got to tell you, I'm really optimistic right now. I'm excited because we've been given an historic opportunity, something that doesn't happen very often, which is we've been given control of the White House, of every executive branch of both houses of Congress. And what I think is critical now is that we actually deliver, that we do what we promised. And I have been very, very encouraged by the cabinet appointments that President-elect Trump has put forward. This is an all-star team. These are strong conservatives. You know, I just met a few minutes ago with General Mattis, spent about an hour with him. You want to talk about a serious, clear-eyed leader.
Yeah, I like him, yeah.
Willing to stand up to radical Islamic terrorism, not bound by the political correctness, the willful blindness of the last 8 years. Talk about something we desperately need. I couldn't be more encouraged.
Even though I know you guys became very adversarial during the primary, I actually believe that you can be a very powerful team, especially on Obamacare, defeating radical Islam, border security, repealing and replacing Obamacare, the Supreme Court, which I thought was the #1 issue in this campaign.